Rabbi Ariel Rackovsky, and welcome to another edition of Teshuvah Tidbits. For a while, well, it was still on TV, there was a TV show that was very popular called Intervention. And the premise was that cameras would come and they would witness people performing an intervention on family members who have gotten themselves into situations where they've hit rock bottom, addictions, particularly, where they made the person aware of how his or her addiction, his or her actions were affecting the family dynamic, the family structure, and how difficult it was for the loved ones to be able to function and to relate to this person and to watch this person self-destruct. Interventions have been touted as an effective last-ditch measure in helping addicts. And there was a certain sense of voyeurism in seeing people that have gotten to such a degraded state, how their families react and how their families can't take it anymore. So this was a very this is an interesting form of TV, perhaps an invasive one. But the idea behind an intervention is that at the very last minute, other people are telling you what you should be telling yourself the entire time. The idea of being conscious of the way our actions affect others, the idea of being conscious of the consequences of our actions, that is a primary principle of Teshuvah. And one of the reasons that it is so important is that usually in the Teshuvah process, no one else is going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. You have to make sure that we have to make sure that we are aware of our actions and their consequences early enough. And so the Rabbeinu Yonah writes that one of the most important steps of the Teshuvah process is recognizing the severity of our sins in general and of particular sins. Now, it is true that Chazal tell us that we really don't know the comparative weight of sins. We don't know which of the mitzvos are really the important ones and are not. We don't know. We know that certain sins are particularly egregious. That is true. But in the broader picture, we don't know necessarily the weight that's attached to, for example, putting on tzitzis versus returning a lost object, for example. So we don't know the comparative reward that is given to different mitzvos. But we do know that the consequences of not performing certain mitzvos, the consequences of violating averos, that does have an effect. And so our challenge is to be able to think about the effect that it has on us. What happens to us when we don't daven? What happens to us when we don't keep Shabbos the way we should? What happens to us when the environment, the spiritual environment in our home, is not one that promotes sanctity and not one that promotes holiness? These are questions that we can ask ourselves and that we should ask ourselves, and that no one else is going to ask for us. We don't have people in our lives built in that are going to rebuke us and that are going to tell us that we need to steer course. We should not have to hit rock bottom for that to happen. See you next time.